Welcome to the Vision Gap Show. Align your big idea and vision with a plan of action to resonate and stand out in your market. With your hosts, Andy Halko and Tony Zayas.
Welcome to today's show. We're talking value propositions, diving in a little bit deeper. And Andy, I will say, to me, value propositions is kind of the culmination of the work that we've done until now. To me, it's kind of the big payoff. And then there's things that flow from that. But how do you look at value propositions when you're working with a client?
Yeah, it's definitely the crux for me of where you kind of start and then everything really just explodes from that moment, right? Value propositions to me are what you use to define what makes you unique in the marketplace and why people should buy from you. And there is nothing more important to every message that you're going to put out to the world than why are you unique? Why you? Why should I care? What is the value of this for me? And so I think that, we work to this point of looking at personas and competitors and all of these different pieces to get to this value propositions place that then will just influence everything that comes after it.
Yeah, so the work that we're doing to define the target audience, kind of their needs and wants, that's going to help shape and craft this value proposition, because it's really that addressing that need and how, your brand does it differently. So obviously this is something where there's moving pieces in place as you're developing it. We'll get to frictionless in a moment and kind of how you can use the tool, but how do you pull these pieces together?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to know off the bat is that when most companies do this and they think about value propositions, they do it in a way that I often see is a little bit empty. And we talked about this a little bit with core values as well, that they create these vanity values and these things that just, appear good to the outside world, but are kind of an empty shirt. And the same thing happens with value propositions, but it has a more significant impact on your marketing and sales. And what I mean by that is a lot of folks will come in and say, what makes us different? Our customer service. Well, everyone says their customer service. And if that's the thing that you're going to market to say, like, we're different because of our customer service, you're going to run into a lot of scenarios where no one understands why they should do business with you over the next 5 people that are also saying customer service or are experts, or, it's a lot of times these things that people instantly go to because it's easy. And yeah, of course you feel like, yeah, we take care of our customers and that's what's important to them and this and that. And I think that's where the mistake happens, is that people don't go through a process that helps them really dig in and take a logical approach to determining what are not empty shirt value propositions. What are ones that are really going to stand out in the marketplace? So when you go in and have that meeting or you present that message on the website, there is a clear, definitive articulation of why you are different, and every other competitor does not have that same message into the marketplace.
Yeah, and that's sometimes, I believe, is drilling down into the weeds and speaking the language of the customer and talking about those specific challenges that they might have. Because to your point, customer service, anyone could say that, right? And everyone wants to claim that they, have the best, but can you really speak to that audience in a way that, grabs them? So,
and it can be a little bit of a process also of, either finding things that are extremely different, or to what you're alluding to, going deeper. And I always like to use the example that I had with another client where, they said customer service, right? But we went through a process to dig into that. And at the end, what we ended up coming up with was a concept of the 5-star customer success program. Mm-hmm. And it was much more about, like, star number 1 meant that you were going to talk to a senior expert on your first call, not your third. Star number 2 was that you would get a response within 4 hours of your first phone call, right? Star number 3. And so now it was something that when you go out to the marketplace and everybody says we have great customer service, you can say, I have a 5-star customer success program. And here's what makes it that way. And you talk about how each of those 5 stars contributes to something that your competitors don't do. And so that is, that breaks it up into 2 things. One, the first part is, what is the thing that makes you different? And if for some reason it is hyper competitive, it's how do we create a message and a structure that does create separation.
So unique, different, and defined is kind of what I heard as you laid the example out. So that's fantastic. Well, for people that are watching that want some help with how to dive deeper and define value propositions, because it's not necessarily an easy exercise to do. It's easy to just say, define it and make it different and all of that. But we have our tools. So Frictionless is a platform that you can use to do this. So why don't you go ahead and show us how?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, we've talked about this, how Frictionless kind of and our process has built up to this, that you come in and you're working on your core values, vision, offerings, things that we've been through before, personas and competitors. And really, personas and competitors are the key elements to creating good value propositions. And you should get that at the basis, right? That, we understand what our target audience wants. We understand what our competitors do. And there is something in there that we are different from other folks. And so our tool and workshop is set up to help folks walk through this process. And it's a process that we've developed over the last 20 years of working with clients on this. And that process starts out with taking buying factors. So we always look at, why are people buying from us? And the way I like to describe it is, think of when they're evaluating different companies, they have a grid that's, what are the things that I want and need, and what are the companies, and I'm going to check mark off in between who does what, right? And so some of the buying factors we see here, customer service that we just talked about, but it could be the number of years in business. It could be, quick time to use, a clear methodology we've got here, the training and onboarding, vendor innovation pace, how quickly they update or innovate. All of these things are buying factors, and you have a mix of buying factors that we've actually put some standard ones in here. But then when you've created your personas, you're creating your own custom buying factors, reasons that your target audience buys. And in our exercise, it allows everyone on your team to pick 10 and rank them to say how important are they to the target audience. And so we may say ease of use is our number one thing. And we look and, Tony's come in, he said proven track record. Someone else comes in and has different scores, and basically you can see each person's, but this first step is making sure that you have defined what is most important to your target audience when they buy, and how do you rank it. And so the next thing that ends up happening, we actually have in the system a moderator, and that moderator can take all of that and actually scores it all, right? And it says, okay, across the 10 people that have answered this in our group, we've gotten 3 votes for this, 2 votes for this. And then based on where they placed it in the rank, it gives an additional score as well. And our moderator can come in and basically lock in different factors and say, okay, we've looked at these, they've been ranked, and now we're going to talk about them, and we're going to lock these ones in as our top 5 or 6 factors that we're going to compare. And then the real magic that ends up happening is that what we want to do is now look at it and say, who is good, who is best, who is weak, who doesn't even do this across ourselves and our competitors. And so we would have a list of competitors here, and we might say, you know what, our proven track record is the best, but this competitor only has good or has weak. And if you have more competitors, you can do that across, 5 or 6. And what that ends up doing now is you've taken the most important things that your customers choose to buy and what they use as their most important criteria. And you've now created a ranking system that determines which one of those do you have the greatest strength in versus your competitors. And so if you think about that logically of value propositions, this is what makes us unique and why people buy. It all comes together. So now I'm going into the marketplace with reasons that people should buy from us that are aligned to the reasons that they do want to buy, and that we have determined we're different than everybody else. And so our system allows, go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just going to say, so it becomes, rather than just kind of a guess or a feeling, it becomes a calculation based on these estimates.
Exactly. And remember, this isn't just one person scoring. This is the whole team. And so the great thing is if you're bringing in your leadership team, maybe adding in some salespeople, you're now getting a more unbiased view as well, because instead of it being a leader or maybe 2 people that are sitting in a room doing this and kind of guessing or making assumptions based off what they know, you've now taken both that buying factors process and now the scoring between competitors, and you've distributed it in a way that hopefully, again, makes it really unbiased so that you're getting the right answer rather than, your favorite answer. And so with this exercise, once you do this, it behind the scenes scores everything and uses kind of a methodology that we have to understand the gaps between the scoring. And it pulls together the 3 that you have the most distinction for in the marketplace now. And so based on our team scoring, clear methodology, proven track record, and expertise and industry knowledge have become the 3 things that our customers want, and we know we're better than our competitors at. And so now everybody on the team is actually able to provide some insight to that. So for each of these, they're describing, why are we better than everybody else? What proof do you have that you're better? More tangible information. And then why is it important to your audience that you have this? And so now, again, your entire team is kind of putting in this information that helps really add that depth that we talked about before. And then finally, we're able to use AI that now will go out and it's pulling those scores, it's pulling all the answers that your team had, and it's creating an in-depth value proposition based off of our training and methodology. And so clear methodology comes back as navigating success, one strategy at a time, empowering businesses with our proven collaborative approach. It just changed because it moved quickly. Unraveling success through clarity. You can see this one that when I clicked it a second time, it came back again. And you can just kind of see that it still aligns to that. Unraveling success through clarity, clear methodology, strategic brilliance solidified by 2 decades of proven results. And the reason that that's there is, someone in their answer said, we've been doing this for 2 decades. They've said other things of other pieces, and it's really building this value proposition and this story in depth from all of that. And so just kind of to wrap that up, this process takes something that we used to do with clients over probably a month. By the time that you're collecting buying factors and you get in a room and you rank them, and then you have to manually score that with all the people, and then you're determining your competitors, and you're having a process of people, again, scoring that, and an hour of trying to figure it out on note cards and paper of the scoring to get it, logical and accurate. And now what we've done is take this highly logical process. We've made it very turnkey, does all of these calculations in an instant, and then gathers information to produce an outcome with AI that is hyper aligned. And so now we can see within, again, you can go through this in a pretty quick time frame, that we've got our 3 value propositions that we know our customers care about. We're better than our competitors at, and now we've got stories behind them that really tell why we're different.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, and you go through this so quickly. But to your point, the old days of being in the meeting room and writing on the whiteboards and stickies and then taking pictures of it to, make sure you grab all the notes. This distills it down. It's an awesome process. And I'm always impressed at the output here because it has so much contextual information that it can be really on point in what it develops. So very cool process. And thanks for the walkthrough.
Of course.
I think that wraps up today's show. We're going to be diving into brand voice in the next one, which is always a fun one. And we have a cool exercise to show you as well in Frictionless. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
This episode of the Vision Gap Show has been brought to you by Frictionless. Build high-impact strategy at scale. Create your vision, brand position, and go-to-market strategy, all in a collaborative AI-enabled workspace. Visit frictionlesshq.com to create your free account today.